it's basically a very, very simple but well-engineered design that's beautiful and just a wonderful, wonderful type of energy in the dome, whether it's because of the roundness or the plants or there's something about it that's a little bit magical.
This is Peak Moment. We are living at a peak of human innovation, information, wealth, and health. But we're also at a peak of population and consumption, with rising temperatures and declining resources fueled by cheap oil and gas. Peak Moment Television, bringing you examples of positive responses to energy decline and climate change through local community action.
Hi, welcome to Peak Moment. I'm Janaea Donaldson. I'm in southwestern Colorado at the cusp between fall and winter, and I am in this wonderful round dome that's full of light and warmth and beautiful things growing. My guests are Chris Holstrom and Bree Peterson, who are going to give you a tour of this magical growing space.
Hi, I'm Chris Holstrom. I'm here with Bree Peterson. We're here in a 52-foot Growing Spaces grow dome, and this is a project of Rebecca and Michael Jusbach. We're in southwest Colorado between Ridgway and Montrose. The project came about a couple of years ago. I was speaking with the owners, and they felt responsibility to create a model of a food production system. So we kind of designed this 2-acre food production system, and since we are kind of in the mountainous area, we thought the cornerstone of it would be a greenhouse. Bree at that time was working on my farm as an intern, and we started to look at designs and big greenhouses and standard rectangular greenhouses, and all of a sudden we're like, this doesn't feel right. So Bree and myself and my brother-in-law went on a little road trip, field trip down to Pagosa Springs, where the domes are manufactured, and we probably toured how many greenhouses?
25?
25 different growing domes. They range in size from 22 feet to this one, which is a 52-foot diameter grow dome. So we thought we'd just kind of show you what's going on here. Bree actually runs this greenhouse now, as well as an outdoor garden next to it as part of this 2-acre food production system. And we'll just talk to you a little bit about some of the features and why we love the domes. So, Bree, what's the top made out of, the glazing as we call it?
We have a polycarbonate panels that we got to attach on ourselves with the help of a crew from Growing Spaces. Kind of wood though.
It's Douglas fir wood,
Douglas fir.
and then the hubs where each one connects is steel. So it's a very, very strong structure. It's a geodesic dome built on the model from WinStar, Rocky Mountain Institute, or John Denver's WinStar had a huge biodome, and then Udgar Parsons, who runs Growing Spaces, took that design. He was actually working there with permission and made a home-scale greenhouse system. So it comes as a kit. It's not one you'd want to tackle by yourself, certainly this big, but the smaller ones you could. But once the dome was up, then we turned it over to Bree, and why don't you describe the process of the beds and all the hard work you put in?
Well, after 7 days of building the dome, we started to build the beds here, which took about 4 months. 2 of those months I did it by myself, and then the last 2 months I had help with a girl who's actually working right over there, Miss Sarah. She's been here a very long time. Sarah, give a wave, please. But we started off with sandbags that we ordered online through the Arizona Bag Company. We stapled them in half because they were too long. We have probably about 1,500 to 2,000 bags of sand in this grow dome. We stacked them, and then we covered them with chicken wire. And if it was a tall bed like this bed that we're leaning against, we reinforced it with rebar to hold it. And then we went through and did 2 layers of stucco, which was a mason mix. And first layer, once it dried, it would take about a day or 2. We'd go back through and stick on the second layer.
So here we are in the herb bed. You see when you look around that the shapes are very organic. That was one of the advantages, wasn't it, Bree, on doing the sandbag method, because it's easy to do curves and have a very feminine, flowing sort of bed rather than very linear, which kind of fits with the round dome. What do you have growing in here?
We have an assortment of perennial herbs and annual herbs. We have basil that's been planted in here since, I would say, May, and now it's October, and it's been doing great. We have lavender, and we have lots of fennel. We have thyme and parsley. And then
Sage here.
we got sage back here.
Parsley, sage, rosemary.
Rosemary is essential in every garden. We have a little mini rose, some calendula, and alyssum, flowers that attract beneficial insects to the greenhouse. We'll have ladybugs in here, hopefully all winter long. They like the alyssum, so.
And I don't know if you can hear that in the background, but she already has crickets going in here, so it's some very nice sound ambiance.
Soothing.
As we look across the dome, you'll see the silver stuff. What's that about?
Well, it works as a reflective. When the sun in the summer is high in the horizon, it actually works as a shade for the tanks that are here. And then in the winter, when it's low in the horizon, it reflects the sun into the tanks. And we've also painted them a dark color to absorb the sunlight as well.
The Reflectix material also acts as a little bit of insulation, since this is the north side of the greenhouse. So it's a really well-designed system in the dome. The tanks serve as thermal mass. The soil in the beds help the thermal mass. So we don't anticipate that this greenhouse will need any heat all winter long, and she'll be able to produce all sorts of wonderful things for people to eat all winter long, which was the goal.
Correct.
Just a couple of other features of the dome. Up high, there's some vents, and those automatically open depending on the temperature. So there's actually two arms, they call them, because we're in a very windy area, and they will, depending on the temperature, open and close. So that's a nice sort of automatic, semi-automatic system. There's also a series of fans to help with heating and cooling, but it's basically a very, very simple but well-engineered design that's beautiful and just a wonderful, wonderful type of energy in the dome, whether it's because of the roundness or the plants or there's something about it that's a little bit magical. So what do you have planned for this winter?
We're in a transitional phase right now. Our melons and our squash and zucchini are going by, and we're going to be replacing those with peas and lettuces, kale and chard, some broccoli, mustard greens, Asian greens, the cold hardy crops. Yeah.
And then why do you have flowers and things other than attracting beneficial insects? Is there another reason for those?
I like them.
Exactly. So it's kind of the benefit of growing in your own dome is that you can have what you want. And Bree was on my farm, and we are permaculture oriented. So having beautiful things around is really part of the whole routine. So having pretty flowers and nice spaces and sometimes good music in here, especially when we were doing the beds. It's a wonderful place to be and amazingly productive. And I think we're both really grateful to the Juice Bosch family for having the vision to put something like this together. Outside, it's a little rainy and nasty right now, but Bree's put in quite a large garden. This is the first summer, and it's really exciting to see how much food can be grown in a small space here in Southwest Colorado.
Well, Chris had to leave, but I get to come and ask you questions, Bree. But I want to just say, this is so beautiful. I mean, look at this bounty. This is all your winter crops already growing,
Yeah.
right?
These are from outside the dome area, actually. But we are going to a farmer's market tomorrow, and we'll be selling that produce there. Scallions, cabbage, cauliflower, broccoli, celery, the cold season crops.
So will this be sort of the end of the season of your outdoor
Yep.
crops? Okay.
Yeah.
And then you're going to plant some of that in here, or are going to?
Yep, we actually have some broccoli seedlings
okay,
started
okay.
and lettuce started.
Oh yeah, look at that.
Yeah.
Isn't that pretty? Pretty lettuce. Look at this. These gorgeous morning glories. I mean, it's not like, it's like you're an art piece, just being here. These are all sitting, all your little babies are sitting on top of this water tank, huge. There's 2 huge water tanks here.
The water tank is actually an excellent area to start your seedlings because it's really warm right above the tank. And so it allows them, for the seed to come up a lot easier with the warmer temperatures, so it'll help warm up the soil. And then we can move them over to these racks where now the tomato plants are being trellised to, and where they'll get more sunlight.
So you put them on top of those racks?
After they've sprouted, we move them up over there
I see.
where they get more sunlight.
I see,
Yeah.
okay. And what I see you've got what, some algae in here?
Yeah, we have algae and we actually have fish. I mean, there's life in these tanks. You can't really see through here, but the water's quite dirty looking, but it's alive. And we can actually take this moss and dry it, and then we will put that on the beds, crumple it up and sprinkle it for fertilizer.
And what are the fish eating?
They're just eating the plants that are growing and the algae that's inside the tanks.
I'd love to say you've got these 2 tanks holding the heat, partly.
Yes.
What I love is that everything has multiple purposes in here, that you've got a whole system that's working together.
There's actually, they're not running today because it's a bit cloudy out, but we have solar panels that are hooked up to a pump in here that will allow water circulation in the tanks. And then in the summer when it's really hot, you have that extra moisture in the air. And in the winter, that will actually hold in the heat as well, that water that's in the air.
Actually, you bring a good question to mind, is how do you water all of your beds?
Well, it's been an issue. I like watering by hand because I like taking 10, 20 minutes out of the day to actually go through and water and look at what's happening in the greenhouse.
Which keeps you in touch with who's doing well, who's not, and
right.
so on.
But you could definitely hook up some kind of drip system in here if you wanted to be very low maintenance. And then we're probably going to put a sprinkler system in next, or more of a mister type
from the
ceiling in the summer. So when it's 90 degrees in here, that will help cool it down.
Yeah.
And keep the plants happy.
Let's go look at over this bed over here.
Ah.
We've got somebody here who's putting together the celery. Yeah. For your farmer's market. Oh, that looks lovely.
The last of the seasons, the last of it. So
I understand that growing
harvest.
celery is tricky. You have to have the right kind of sand or soil or whatever.
They like it wet. That's what I've noticed. They like a lot of moisture. So I haven't had too much of a hard time. We have pretty clay soils here, but we've added a lot of compost and alfalfa and organic matter to the soil.
And actually, that's a good question, is what do you do for your compost? Is that outside?
It is. So we have a lot of table scraps from all the veggies that we're eating. So that's going into our compost. We also have chickens. We have goats, so we're using their manures and mixing it in. Alfalfa, leaves, all that outdoor waste, as people like to refer to it as. We take it because it's great in our compost. Yeah. But in this bed, we have lots of flowers just to pick, to put on our table. We did a little trellis here for morning glories.
These are just
Feverfew and
they look happy.
calendula. So we have medicinal plants in here as well. Yeah. The flowers are doing great in here. These will probably go until December or January. It won't really ever freeze in here. And if it does, it'll drop maybe to like 30. So most of the things in here can handle that, most of the plants. Tomatoes will be growing until December. The peppers will be in here till December. But then there's not quite as much light in here at that time of year, December, January, February. So when we have less light, we'll take out the tomatoes and peppers, and we'll have lettuce growing underneath at the base of all those to provide light for the plants that can grow better with less light. Yeah.
Okay. This is fun. I love your trellis. It's really, really charming.
Well, that's been a challenge, actually, using this vertical space. That's why we have this. It's 20 feet high from the ground to the top of the dome. And there's just a huge amount of space, so we've been trying to figure out how do we take advantage of all this. And so we've been putting in this trellising, that we have squash and melons, and we'll have peas eventually growing up and around those.
So this is the idea, what you have here. You've got some, whatever they are, tomatoes?
We have cucumbers, and they're also tomatoes.
Bit of climbing.
Yeah.
You really could do something like the jungle, you know, a canopy of different layers.
Definitely.
I mean,
about a month ago, it felt like a jungle in here. It's calmed down quite a bit, and we've harvested a lot and started cutting things back. And we have these shelves here to put our seedlings after they've been at the tank. We move them over to here. Yeah,
so we've got at least 2 layers started here in the climbing things.
So in the spring when you walk in, I mean, it's covered with plants, these shelves. There's also shelves up against the main wall as well.
Well, I can imagine that given you're concentrating light in here and warmth and moisture, all of them above, you may find yourself, I mean, when you start growing bananas, let us know. Because you kind of do have a bit of the tropical feel.
Yeah. Well, we have an option of doing like a solar hot water exchange with the water tanks. And that would just provide a whole nother climate in here, microclimate, where we could do more tropical type items like bananas or
That's
mangoes.
pretty wild to think about, isn't it? Mangoes in Colorado in the mountains.
With no heating bills.
That's using technologies wisely. Well, you had mentioned that the cabbages and the cauliflowers came from your outdoor beds, and I'd love to see what you have, even though we're at the end of the season.
We have had a hard frost, but there's still things that are growing.
Well, let's go look. Oh, what a nice big garden out here. Wow.
We have 2 acres
Wow.
here.
That's a lot to keep track of.
Oh,
Chickens! Hi!
we
You've
have
got a lot going out here.
laying
Big
hens.
squashes. How many hens do you have?
Pumpkins. We get about a dozen a day, so 24, 25 chickens. Oh, Maya. And we have a guard dog as well, but she is harmless. She hasn't seen the camera before.
Nice job. Nice
Can you be
job.
nice, Maya? Be nice.
Good
Be a
girl.
good
You're
girl.
doing a good job. So I see. Let's head up here. All the nice winter squashes. You've got. Is that part of your operation? The wind.
Yes,
the
the wind turbine actually gives back to the grid. It's a 6 kilowatt wind turbine.
Nice. Nice.
And it has batteries that it restores, and then it gives back to the grid.
Great. Yeah. Well, that's kind of nice. There's that. You're creating your own power, and behind it is the high tension power lines feeding the rest of everybody else. That you're feeding
I
back
like
to.
that view.
Yeah. Ducks.
We have ducks. We actually have 1 female, so we get about 3 duck eggs.
Duck eggs are
a
so
week.
special.
And yeah, they're great.
They're
Very
good.
yolky.
Hi, duck, duck, duck.
Today, because there's nothing much left in the garden right now, we had a hard frost about a week ago where it got down to about 20 degrees. So we let the chickens out to go through and scratch in the gardens and eat the aphids and all the bad bugs. But when there are things growing in the garden, plants growing, and we don't want the chickens running all around, we have a chicken tractor that we put them in.
Show me the chicken
Yeah.
tractor. It sort of sounds like an oxymoron. Oh, the beds are so beautiful. I mean, even though it's late season, the purples and the oranges, it's really colorful.
Cabbage and the calendula. Yeah, the hardy crops are still
Artichokes?
doing well. We have artichokes. I had to trick them because you can't overwinter them here.
Oh, what did you do?
You have to set them out when they're about 6 weeks old in 40 to 50 degree weather for about 10 days. And then they think, oh, we had a winter and it's summer again. And they start producing for you because they're biannuals. They won't produce till their 2nd year.
I see.
This is our chicken tractor. We were using it, but then we just decided to let them go. But when there are plants growing in the garden and we want to keep them contained, we put the tractor over the bed and they scratch up and eat the bugs and loosen the soil. It's great.
Poop, fertilize.
And they fertilize. They do
Yeah.
all that good stuff. And you don't even have to feed them when they're in here. They have enough food in here where they're just getting
for days and days and days?
And we'll move it all along the
I
beds.
see. Okay.
Yeah, so right now they're in a lettuce bed that has gone by. Yeah.
It's really nice how everything is tied to everything else.
Oh, it's working together with what you have, with nature and your animals, and
Bree, this is a huge, huge garden, and it looks like you have an amazing diversity of plants. Where do they all go? What do you do with it all? You sugarcane it all yourself.
Well, the garden provides food for myself, and then the interns that come and work on the farm. In return, they get to eat food out of the garden.
Right.
And we also have there's a ranch here with cattle, and there's a family that caretakes for the cattle, and so we provide food for them and for Rebecca and Michael G.
The owners of the land.
Yeah. So we have quite a few families to provide food for, but also there's not a lot of farms in this area. So we've been trying, Chris Holstrom is really on this relocalization kick and providing food for the people in this area. And so we've been going to the Telluride Farmers Market. Next year we'll be going to the Montrose Farmers Market, and I also would like to start up a CSA for
Which
people.
is community-supported agriculture, so
Correct.
people pay for shares and
Up
get a
front in the
weekly
spring,
box or basket or something.
And we'll probably have that start in June or maybe the end of May, and it'll go until October.
Which is a wonderful,
Exactly.
wonderful thing. And given that you're going to have vegetables going into the winter, of course, this is your first year. You're finding out what's going to happen. I mean, I'm amazed that for this to be this abundant in 1 year. It says there's a lot of work and knowledge that's gone into this.
Oh, a lot of hard work. And it's a learning experience, you're right, you know. We tried garbanzo beans this year for the first time. We planted them a little late, so we'll see if they make it, but I'm definitely going to try them again next year as well.
Well, I think dry beans, I mean, are something, of course, that can be stored, eaten in the winter.
Exactly.
And that's going to be an important part of sustainability, is to have those foods that can be stored.
We're actually looking into putting in a root cellar here. And it would be great to have a community cellar as well, root cellar for people to store their food, a community canning facility for people to come and can the foods that they get from their CSA.
Right. Yeah. Well, I would like to have a nibble. Can I have one of your carrots?
Would you like a purple one?
Sure. Are they purple?
There are some purple ones right here, actually.
Orange.
Right in there.
I'll try that. Hi there.
The purple dragon.
Oh.
Oh no.
Now I have to dig
She's
it
gonna
out.
have to dig for it. We're gonna make it work for this carrot.
So tell me, while I'm digging out my carrot, you mentioned relocalization.
Yes.
What does that mean to you?
Relocalization is providing and buying food locally. Everything, you know, to the meat that you eat, to the vegetables that you eat, even grains. Relocalizing, even where you're buying your tools for your garden, you know, try and buy everything within a 100-mile radius, or, you know, sometimes you can't always do that, but I'm just thinking about where things come from and how long it took and how far they had to travel to where you are.
Well, I would think that relocalizing here, you're starting to be a model for how can we feed ourselves.
Exactly.
And as many businesses that can support that and doing your canning yourselves, I mean, I think food is the best place to start. A, we all need to eat. And two, it's beautiful.
Exactly.
It's beautiful and nourishing. Well, okay, let's check out this carrot. It's a very pretty one.
It's orange in the center.
It is. It's orange in the middle. Sweet too.
Good.
Well, I declare this a success. I'd be happy to relocalize in your neighborhood.
Thank you. We're in the orchard now. We planted 47 semi-dwarf fruit trees. Yeah. We have apples. We did, most of them are apples, but we also did pears and plums and peaches and cherries and apricots.
Will it get hot enough? Will you have enough season to do apricots here?
We should. We're going to try.
Oh,
So
good.
there's other areas nearby, other farmers that are planting them. So
Well, give it a good try.
That's right.
So how do you irrigate? Water your orchards? Well, and everything, actually.
Right. Well, water is a big issue, especially here in southwest Colorado. Right now, we've been using ditch water. It comes from Buckhorn Mountain.
Nearby.
Yeah, and we're the first people to get the ditch water from that mountain, which is very important to me because I don't want to be getting someone else's water. And we're not certified or organic, but we only practice organic methods here. no chemicals, not even organic chemicals. So everything that people are getting from us, the water that we use that goes to someone else, is hopefully the same way as when we got it. That's the idea. But we have a really big ditch system that comes down about 300-400 yards to the north of us, and we've dug ditches to divert the water to a little holding pond, which is actually on the north side of the garden, which is also the high point of the garden.
Should we go up there?
Yeah,
Take
we
a
can
look?
walk up there. There's not too much water left right now.
Uh-huh. Okay. So you've dug this pond, right, that brings your ditch water in. And you've got pipes and what, ditches just taking it down into your garden area?
Correct, and it takes it down into the orchard where we have a series of marks that will water each tree.
Uh-huh. Bria, I was wondering, since this is a drought area, I mean, water's got to be a real consideration for you. Are you being able to pull water off your buildings and collect it to irrigate?
Well, actually, in the state of Colorado, it's illegal to collect rainwater. It's considered taken before it hits the ground. It's claimed already, and you're not allowed to. So that's why you won't see any buckets or eaves or collecting the water.
That's criminal. I mean, that's got to change quickly
frustrating.
because well, beyond that, it's simply that I understand you need to have water through your landscape, but if you slow it down and use it to irrigate your gardens, it's still coming back, back into the earth. Let's hope that one gets changed very quickly and the people pressure to do that.
Of course, please.
Wonderful tour, a wonderful place. We're pleased to get to be here and admiring just the incredible beauty.
Even at this time of year.
that you've obviously created. So it'll be wonderful to see this blossom
Thank
in the
you.
years to come. Thanks for joining us.
Of course.
You're watching Peak Moment Television. I'm Janaea Donaldson. Join us next time.
I might have to have a bite of that too. You're making me hungry.
Go for it. Now that's community. When you share food that you've grown with your hands, with your people, you can't get better than that.
The ducks.
Hey, ducks.
They just waddle all around. They crack me up.